Welcome to Beach Jam Media, your resource-driven oasis with your host, Jennifer Corbin-Carson. Join us each week as we dive into hot topics and essential materials for individuals and businesses. We invite you to get your feet wet and explore life's offerings. From insightful discussions to practical advice, we're here to navigate the tides of change together. Come join us for Beach Jam Media, where knowledge flows endlessly and where the currents of insight never stop. So come on, let's get our feet wet and explore what's waiting for us on the beach.
Hey everyone, glad you're here with us. Well, let's jump right in and get our feet wet. Good morning, Chanel.
Good morning. I'm coming
How
from
are you today?
California.
Yay!
Great.
Yeah,
Very
good.
sunny morning.
Yes, it is here too. That's good. That's good. Sorry about yesterday. I had computer issues. And I still have computer issues. So we're good. I'm coming live to you from my phone. So we're trying this platform out. Anyways, so what are you up to, Chanel?
Oh, it's good. I was thinking about this show, and computer issues or not, I think what's great is that this platform of just what washes up on shore and on the beach is really the important part, because people have so much going on in their lives. And that's what I was thinking about with this show today, is just letting people know that Beach Jam is a place that talks about everyday occurrences in life for people.
Right. Sorry about that. Yeah. When people, you don't get calls until you're doing something. So yeah, sorry about that. But yes, absolutely. Showing up your authentic self and being true to your personality and your values, that's really important. So I was thinking about what we were talking about the other day about the show, and something came to mind when as we were talking, and I had to go back and kind of do some thinking about it, and so we had a guest preacher. He's a revivalist at our church this past Sunday, and he was saying, and yes, Pastor Carol, I did listen, but he was saying it's not about perfection, it's about placement. And that really hit me, because so when I started my business, my printing business, it was all about, I took so much time to get orders out because I wanted them to be perfect, because that's my personality, the little perfectionism in there. But truth be told, people don't care. People don't see, they do care, don't get me wrong, but they don't see what you see, right? So they don't, so I've made a couple pieces for you, right? So if I made a mistake on it, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think what you're getting at is exactly that. You want to deliver things that are correct, but you also want to be very, very real about it in life. And yes, the recipient, as long as things are spelled right on it and all, they love the art of it. They love the individuality, especially with your wood piece.
Yeah, and again, it's not perfection, it's placement. Where you are, where you show up, it's identifying, I wrote notes down, it's identifying who you want to be and live towards that with integrity and grace, right? So wherever you're at in your spirituality or your relationship with God, He places you where you need to be. And just like we talked about last week on our show, it was divine intervention with us. We've already come to that conclusion. And so, but I think both of us having that integrity and moving forward with our lives brings you to that placement, right? So God puts stuff in front of you all the time. And you have a choice whether to take it or not, right? So we always have choices, right? But that's our free will. So it's that really obviously that really stuck with me. It's not perfection, it's placement, right? You show up every day, but you show up to the best of your ability because we're human beings, right? We all make mistakes. So I think authentically for me is more of a having integrity, acting on it, but giving myself grace at the same time. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think people go through this all day long, and instead of thinking about what happens in their life as a mistake or not exactly as they want it, I think the key to it all is that when you come forward, if it's aligned with where you want to be, that is the more important part. That is the part that is what helps one's soul sing, helps them come forward in a way that makes more alignment and more sense for themselves in life. And so that's what I love about this show, is that as it develops, it's going to be telling stories about what's going on in people's lives and that they matter, and not so much that something goes exactly as planned. It's actually the opposite of planning to make it alignment with how things go, because things happen, right? Things happen in life. Jobs don't go exactly as they want them, or relationships don't go exactly as they want them, or any endeavor that someone takes. But the key is that if you keep it in alignment with the lesson that's learned, where you want to go, where you want to be, that will be the key for people. And so it's not so much having something, as you're saying, show up perfectly. I love this notion of placement, but is it placed in alignment with, didn't go exactly as it wanted it to, but we're going to course correct. We're going to do that, because it's always about how is it that you're being towards and the reaction of what happens rather than the doings. And always going back to that statement of we're not human doings, we're human beings. So how are we being with each other, not just within our insulated families, but our communities, really mankind in general? Because our energy that we're able to bring forward into the world is the perfect part. And it is help what people sort of note as elevating the collective. As we go on in our lives and we bring the energy that's in alignment with us, we help elevate those around us. And we're then elevating the frequency of our communities and mankind, because we are all connected through the energy. So when it gets very task oriented and task focused, it doesn't allow for the beingness of how one is growing from every single experience.
Exactly. And, so I don't know if you saw me, I was writing notes. I like to do that when we talk. I mean, even when we just talk on the phone, I like to write notes because I get bits and pieces, of things and I don't remember them. So I have to write them down. So I like to take notes. And that's what I'm doing when I'm, looking down. Um, well, that's perfect because, a couple things that I got out of what you said was, the lessons learned and the course correction. So we make mistakes, right? And we learn things along the way. Well, as I'm teaching, as my husband and I are raising our son, you have mistakes and you make mistakes. Even at 51 years old, I still make mistakes, and but you're still learning and you're still growing. So as you make those mistakes, you take those lessons learned, hopefully you're learning from those, right? And you make that course correction to where you want to be, like what you were talking about. So, it's all in how you decide to make your mistakes and how you decide to take that grace and use it for your own benefit, right? And then the other thing I got was, I love that we are not human doings, we are human beings. I love that. But you are who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with people that you don't want to be aligned with, well, guess what? Or have the same business. If you're in business, have the same business acumen or the same business goals as you're not going to get there. And it's the same thing in our personal lives too. If you're hanging out with people that are undesirables, then guess what? You're going to be part of the undesirable pack. So, I've told my kids that from day one, who you hang out with. And that's the same in business. You want to be successful, and everybody's successful. I say that because everybody's definition of success is different. But if you want to grow your business, you have to be aligned with other business people and get your mentors and get your coaches and let them help you get where you need or want to be, right? Because you can't do it alone.
Yeah. And, especially in the world of entrepreneurship and solopreneurship and people that are, running their businesses on their own, that community, if it's from a business perspective, that they're aligned with and who they're collaborating with is very important. But I think the key is it's looking at who is it around you that's inspiring you, right? Who is it around you that is confident and has a great deal of value in themselves, know what they're bringing to the table, to whatever it is, the family community, the family circles, the local communities, or even, as we say, the greater communities at large. It doesn't mean that if you encounter someone and you meet them in your life, that they're necessarily less than or more than yourself. Right. I think the way to look at it is where they are in their life relevant to where you are in your life. And does that energy, again, inspire and elevate, or is the energy one that just doesn't complement where you are? They can be fantastic people. But I think what people, and this notion of what your pastor said about placement is true about people in your life as well. Who you allow, and I put this right on the cover of the book that I wrote, The Reinvented Life, who you allow and what you allow around your life's table will determine the speed and the extent of one's reinvention. And
Right.
so I think
Absolutely.
that notion is what allows one continue their path of reinventing, of change, of leveling up their frequency. And I think people get stuck, and we talk about this stuckness a lot.
We do.
When you allow yourself to stay somewhere that is no longer serving your growth. And it doesn't mean that people that you come across in business or in life don't have tremendous value. So like the notion of what you say to your kids. But are the people enhancing their lives first and then your life? Because if we're not enhancing our own life, then it becomes very difficult for us to be a catalyst for change in others. So that is really the key, is taking that constant evaluation, looking at the relevancy, what you're allowing and who you're allowing around your life's table.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Other than mine, you are who you hang out with. No, absolutely. It's just an ever-growing process. Not only in your personal life, but your financial life, your spiritual life, your relationship, all of your relationships. Sorry, I'm putting my hand in the screen. All of your relationships, it just, and there's three other ones, spiritual, the whole life, your whole life bubble, I guess you want to say, your whole world, right? Your whole personal world. Yeah, that really, when you look at change, and people don't like change. They don't. But in order to reinvent yourself or to move forward or to grow, you have to change. So so a lady that was there with us, Shauna, do you remember her in Florida? She was there in Florida. We roomed together. And she has a saying that says, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself of that every once in a while, because I'll be probably just like everybody else. I'll be, I'm not going to do that, But then you sit back and you kind of take a look at it, kind of outside the box, outside your box, and you have to say, okay, like you said, is this benefiting me? If it's not, you either let it go or you do something to change it. And that's how you grow, right? So I have to remind myself of that every once in a while. Nothing changes if nothing changes. But I think that's just a simplistic way to say it, the simplest form to say it for me, to remind myself, hey, opportunity is knocking. Do you want this or don't you? Does this align with where I want to be or doesn't it? I think, I ask myself a very simple question when I'm faced with a conundrum or a big decision is, and excuse the language, but will I kick myself in the ass later, 10 years down the road, if I don't do this now? And if the answer is yes, because, all those questions run through my mind, and, I kind of analyze it. And if the answer is yes, then guess what? I do it. If the answer is no, then there it goes along its merry way. So every opportunity is not one that you have to take or should take. But I think that comes into alignment with the people you have around you, right? And that comes the opportunity. Or those opportunities come with the people that are around you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It does. It makes absolute sense. And change is only scary because it tends to challenge people on what they're familiar with. So I always say that where you are is not necessarily the most favorable. It may be the most familiar, but it isn't necessarily the most favorable. And so that is key to why change is nerve-wracking for people, fearful for people, because it is generally taking them out of where they're comfortable, where they've gotten used to, and moving it into a place that may be unknown. So the recognition that change and growth is actually the most natural state that someone can be in helps that process, because whether it's an infant growing into a toddler, a preteen growing into a teen, teen growing into a young adult, whatever those phases are, they're natural growth stages. And somewhere along the line, we freeze. And that is what becomes reflective of being stuck. If you think about being frozen, you're stuck, right? So I think people tend to live a life of default in general than a life by design. Constantly designing, constantly re-engineering.
Absolutely. Yeah, but change isn't comfortable to people, right? It's if you're still stuck in that box, then you're in your comfortable zone. Well, I tell my archers that if you're comfortable in doing something, you're probably doing it wrong. Right. So, and it was validation, because I heard another coach say that to one of their kids a couple of weeks ago. But you have to get uncomfortable to change, right? Because that's where the growth happens.
It's actually, yeah, you don't necessarily find people that are going to be attracted to uncomfortableness, right? So it's a matter of how does one shift to make things more authentic for them, more representative of where they are now? Because if you look at people's lives, it's always approached from the different stage they're at, right? If you're a younger parent, or if you're new in a company, you don't necessarily know where that's going to be going. And so each growth stage, each developmental stage that you have allows you to enter the new phase of it with more wisdom. And when you enter anything with more wisdom, it's a great place and time to ask yourself, does this wisdom that I've learned help me, and am I, and most importantly, bringing it forward? Because oftentimes this, when we get stuck or when we get frozen, is really a reflection of us not letting our true selves, and it comes full circle with the conversation we opened with, is it just trying to look like things are perfect? Or is it actually authentic of where I am now? I've learned all this, I want to bring it forward. And not allowing oneself to bring their wisdom forward keeps things suppressed.
Right. You keep the status quo, and the status quo isn't always that where you want to be. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we are
So that's
about out
what
of
I think.
time. Oh, sorry.
Well,
Go
we
ahead.
are wrapping up. Yeah, no, I just want to mention we are wrapping up at the moment, but what I do want people that are listening to note is that instead of approaching change or something different as being fearful, it's okay to just say, this is uncomfortable. And as you say, when they're getting coaching, when they've partnered with people in their life, let them know, hey, I'm comfortable. And how is it that that alignment of people energetically that inspire you can help you look at it from a perspective of, hey, I've got more wisdom. I know more. Let's approach this from a new way. So I know we're wrapping
Yes.
up today, but going back to Beach Jam, it is really all about what washes up in life. And let people know how to reach us. Let them know the best email, because I think that's important for people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, you can like and subscribe to get those. Click that bell so you'll get the notifications. And you join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, besides last week and this week. So sorry for any inconvenience last week and this week. But if you can't join us live, join us on YouTube and catch the replay. And let us know in the comments if you caught the replay and what you're thinking and what's going on in your life that we can wash up with us and talk about on the show. But if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at beachjammedia, that's 2 M's, at gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook at Beach Jam Media. And you can message us through there too. So, Chanel, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And same to the viewers out there. Have a great rest of your day. And don't forget to learn those lessons and bring those lessons forward. So jump in next week with us and get your feet wet. And we'll see you next week at the beach.
Thank you for tuning in to Beach Jam Media with your host, Jennifer Corbin-Carson. We hope today's dive into hot topics and valuable resources left you feeling refreshed and inspired. Our mission is to keep you informed and engaged as we ride the waves of what washes up in life together. Until next time, stay curious, keep the conversation flowing, ask questions, and let the glisten of the shoreline guide your journey. Goodbye.